in our lesson book. The crucifixion, the Romans used that as a form of execution. After the illegal and unjust arrest and conviction of Jesus, he was sentenced to the most disgraceful and humiliating form of death at that time. At that time, it was the most disgraceful and humiliating form of death. We are going to center today's lesson, though. We're going to center, there's lots of points about the crucifixion, but we're going to center today around the crucifixion of a king. The fact that it was King Jesus. Jesus, King of all kings. He's the King of my heart and the King of my life, and he's my King. And he's everything to me, and I hope that you can say that as well. Let's talk about the crown first. That day, the crown adorning the head of Jesus was a painful crown of thorns. It wasn't the crown that you would see on a typical king, but it was a painful crown of thorns. And I want you to think about that. The other day I got stuck by a thorn, and it didn't even stay in my skin. I didn't break, it just barely pricked my skin, but it was so sore. And it's like those things are maybe dipped in needle, but it was so sore for even probably a couple of days. So think about that. Jesus, the King of Kings, had a crown of thorns. Imagine the extent of pain when a crown of thorns was made. They didn't just lay it on his head, but the soldiers, it says the soldiers, they pressed it down on his head, on the head of Jesus. Now let's talk about the robe and the scepter. The soldiers continued to mock Jesus. They mocked him with this crown of thorns, and then so they continued their mockery. And they wanted to mock his claim to royalty. So they put a purple robe on him and gave him a reed in his right hand, and they was mocking him and bowing before him on a knee, and they was yelling out, "Hail, King of the Jews!" And they spit on him, and then they took the reed from him and they smote him in the head. So now there's the crown and the robe and the scepter of a king that day. Now, last, let's talk about the title king. That was not, right there was not what you would imagine to be witnessing of a king. In John 19:19, Pilate wrote a title, and he put it on a sign, and he put it on the cross. And the writing was, Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews. Well, Pilate made that sign to be ironic. A king stripped and executed in public view had obviously lost his kingdom forever. They were doing that to mock him. But the truth was, Jesus, he has a way of turning the world's wisdom upside down. He wasn't losing his kingdom. He was coming into his kingdom victoriously, even in this death. Because through that death, he was resurrected. And he would strike the death blow to Satan's rule. And he would establish his eternal authority over the earth. These things that these soldiers done as a mockery, this is the Savior that we gather on Sundays, and we read in the Word and learn about. And did I hear somebody say, why did he do this? What's all this got to do with me, you? Well, this was the sinless Son of Man. Now, this is one of our verses. You should be familiar with it. The sinless Son of Man had come to seek and to save the lost. That's why. He done this out of immeasurable love for you and me. It's got everything to do with you. So I would encourage you to go and read for yourself. You're going to have lots of time. Read in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. All those different accounts of this day, this crucifixion, to find out so much more about this enormous expression of love that was done for you and for me. The mightiest King of all, the one true King Jesus, and read about what he done. And that is the crucifixion. That's our lesson number 4.